Donika, right? Hello, and welcome to the first virtual reading for August, featuring Donika Kelly and Ellen Bass. And it's so wonderful to see you. We're going to hear from our features first, as is our usual wont. And I don't remember who was supposed to read first, but I'm going to start, I believe, with Donika today. Ready to go, Donika?
I am. I'm absolutely ready to go.
Wonderful. Okay. Donika Kelly is the author of The Natural Order of Things, forthcoming fall, I guess, came out in fall of 2025 from Grey Wolf. The Remunerations, winner of the Anisfield Wolf Book Award in Poetry, and Bestiary, the winner of the 2015 Cave Canem Poetry Prize, a Hurston Wright Legacy Award, and a Kate Tufts Discovery Award. A recipient of a fellowship from National Endowment for the Arts, she's a Cave Canem Graduate Fellow and a Pushcart Prize winner. She's an associate professor at the University of Iowa, where she teaches creative writing. And I'm so pleased to have Donika here today with us.
Thank you, Robbi. It's so wonderful to be with y'all today. I am in, I'm like, where am I? I'm in Cherry Grove on Fire Island. So across the country, I think from most of the people in the room. So it's afternoon for me. I think morning for y'all, and it's just nice to be with you. I'm going to read mostly from The Natural Order of Things, which came out last fall. But I wanted to start with a poem that I wrote with uh, uh, while I was visiting Ellen for the first time last year. And Ellen and Janet took me to Point Lobos. Is that? Yeah, took me to Point Lobos, which is very beautiful. And I had a little revelation. So this is called Plain Air Brown Pelican, Point Lobos. For the first time, I think I'd like to come back. If I believed in return, I would like to come back as a pelican, a brown pelican, living off the coast of where I am from in this life, to fly beyond the limit of the page or frame in a line, glide, to be, as I have been only recently, substantial, to know how to eat a fish whole, to have wings, to be lofted above the Carmelo Foundation, the poison oak, the wave and buckwheat, to rest, roost even, on a rock covered in shit, everything fine. No pelicans were harmed in the writing of this poem. No transmogrification from animal to specimen, no posing them as though in flight or roosting on a mangrove branch. Not mine the hand that hunted it, its kin. Not mine the hand that painted a Florida specimen, a Texas specimen, a hunted creature also hunted. I say no pelicans were harmed in the writing, but during, I don't know. I need to say that more. I don't know, or I know so little. There's time or there is not, and that's fine, I think, in my smallest voice. I don't know. I meant to show you the brown pelican. Let me make a gesture with my hands. Over the water, the pelican is this big, but on that rock, only this big. When it flies close to me, I cannot spread my arms wide enough. See the guller pouch, which expands, drains. Left behind is the fish wriggling before I swallow it alive. I mean, the brown pelican swallows the fish alive. Thank you. And I should have said that poem was commissioned as part of a is part of an exhibition at the University of Alabama and is in response to Audubon, James Audubon's Brown Pelican print. I forgot about that part. So okay. So I thought I would read some poems about friendship. I really so there's a section in this collection where I really am writing love poems to my friends. And I really enjoy the practice of writing love poems and expanding the practice of writing love poems to include not just a romantic partner, but family and also my friends. So this first one is for my friend Carlicia, who just visited me last week. It was really great. She's known me since I was 21. We've been friends for over 20 years. And I just think, oh, she knew me at the beginning of being an adult, and she helped me be a better adult. And so this poem is for her. Calling always for Carlicia. I called you from the dark, dear heart, to practice making a door into a sealed room. The seal cracking, cracked by the song you made of my name, the talk long, the dance ecstatic. I remember I said it plain, my breath foreshortened. I remember the room emptied, and we filled it with a light like hill country at midday. The walls fallen in, and I nearly with them more than once, but for your call, your home, my own, the soft baby girl, though we are no longer young. The time between us, a gift that binds, and bound, grateful, I say our names in both the shadow and the light. This next poem is titled Calling Marfa, and this one's for my friend Elizabeth. There was the day, the forsythia at your fence, a conflagration of yellow, the sun, a more obvious conflagration of yellow, and spring just finding us there in the full bore of the day. The flowers, the sun, my belly full, and you, dear friend, temperate as the breeze. I want to call you to sound the distance like my grandfather, who, as a child, stood on his front porch, hollered through the woods to his friend a mile, he says, away, who would call back, echoing in the pine. He's an exaggeration, my grandpa, but you and I, we put in the hours on my sadness. Fall leaching into winter, the winter, the winter. Twin poles of my desires to be or not, opening into a field where I walked all the snares, found them full and wriggling, some bone broken by the rope, some bit bleeding from the knife. I'd call, standing out by the shed, kicking the ground gone hard with cold, the dogs rooting about, that skunk gone in for the season, and you, rarely one for calls, answered as if we were the same kind of bird. Who set the snare and with what bait, we never knew, but you helped loose what was trapped, bandage and bind what was cut or broken. This year, the winter, the winter, the winter trails its gray blanket into the fringe of May, and I think of you and the spring soon come. Friend, should you give a holler from your porch, know that I'll call back, voice traveling the pine, no matter how deep the wood. Thanks. So my friend Vung, thank you for this comment, Mary. I that poem was written in the first place where I truly experienced winter, which was Western New York, an hour and a half south of Buffalo. I just knew I got there in August, and I knew heading into the winter, I was like, I don't know what this is, and I'm not ready. And I really wasn't. I kept going around asking people, now what do I need? What kind of coat? What kind of boots? And they were all very patient with me, which I really appreciated. And now I just live in winter most of the year in Iowa. So this next poem features my friend Vung, Thuy Vung Vu, who's a painter, and she lives in Seattle. And whenever I visit her, we are it. I don't know if any of you have spent time in Seattle, but it just feels like every direction is uphill. It's not a lot of downhill. I don't know how it's possible that it's always up. And she gets really tickled because I observe that with her a lot. I'm like, where are we going? And she's like, uphill. Like, okay. So this one is titled Self-Portrait with Friend, Gas Works Park 2022 for Vung. What to make of the man, crouched beneath the nylon wing, the wind strong enough to fill the cherub's cheek, too weak to send the man across the lake? I haven't seen you in years, though how to count the time indoors, contracted, each day elastic but scuttled with panic, like the man, his square jaw, his chalk teeth, who tucks his knees, soles nearly grazing the couple necking in the grass. Where are the geese, you wonder? And when we finally wander down the asphalt path laid into the hill, there they are, I say, pointing to the water's edge, the flock arranged as if pieces in a game, as if each to a square. The adults crisp in rest, the juveniles obscure, blurry, trundling ashore. The sky obscure, blurry, blue behind a net of clouds scudding the sky. I'm trying to remember when I saw you last, but my memory flutters as if under a false wing, batted and buffeted, trying to master with my strings, my hard and soft plastics, the air. I give up. There is before and there is now. We are walking side by side, always, it seems, uphill. So I teach at the University of Iowa, and it's been really helpful to be with younger poets who are learning the practice and the process of sitting with observation and trying to translate that into something. Sometimes a poem, sometimes a story, but usually I'm working with poets. And this poem begins to shift this section of the book into one that is about being okay with being alone while my wife is away. So I think I'll read this one, and then maybe I think I can do two more. So so this is Major Arcana, and it features a bit of a gloss on some of Audre Lorde's language in uses of the erotic. The erotic as power. So Major Arcana. I've done today what I know best. Struck out with a soft heart in the day's wet heat. Unseasonable this weather, unreasonable this longing, yet both one alongside the other, companion for the day's practice. A praise song to youth, and I love you, I miss you to my heart. Bread broken with two women, not mirrors of me or one another, but resonances. Oh, Audre, at times I have called on you as others might, a power higher than their own. Oh Lord, who might have walked alongside me, mouth a firm line when I ask how to bear this loneliness, this ache, who might respond exquisitely, with excellence, with chaos, with whatever yellow light you've got. Okay, I'm going to read the title of this next poem, but y'all should know my wife likes the title of this next poem. She laughs every time I read it. It is a joke between us. Sometimes I think people they don't know. But we're both writers. So this poem is titled, I love you, I miss you. Please get out of my house. Nothing today hasn't happened before. I woke alone, bundled the old dog into his early winter coat, watered him, fed him, left him to his cage for a day closing just now. My eye drifts to the buff belly of a hawk wheeling, as they do, in a late fall light that melts against the turning oak and smelts its leaves bronze. Before you left, I bent to my task, fixed in my mind the slopes and plains of your face, fitted in some essential geography, your belly stretched, then soft against my own, your scent familiar as a thousand evenings. Another time, I might have dismissed as hunger this cataloging, this fitting, this fixing, but today I crest the hill, secure in the company of my longing. What binds us stretches, a tautness I've missed as a sapling supple misses the wind. And the last poem I'll read is one that I wrote for her for her birthday. And this poem, uh, we've been together, I want to say maybe about 5 years at that point, and I've been writing lots of love poems because that's like a vibe. I really like to do that, as I've said. And I asked her, you know, 5 years into the relationship, I was like, what do you think about all these love poems? How do you feel about these love poems that I've written about you? And she looked at me and said very sweetly, those poems aren't about me. Those poems are about you. And she was right, obviously. Um, but she didn't have to say it, is often what I'll say. It wasn't necessary. But I know just as well as she does, and likely all of you know, the love poem is about the lover and the lover's feelings. And so I thought I might, for her birthday, try to write a poem that attempts to get at that distance, like a recognition that that distance isn't really bridgeable. All I can really know is how I feel, and record that and offer that up. And then I like the poem so much that it's in the book. So it's one of the nice things. Make a little macaroni art, write a little occasional poem, and then sometimes it's not bad. So this is titled "What is the Measure for Melissa?" I catalog what I cannot capture: the sun, its ragged stumble into rock face, the precise elevation of this plateau or the next, the sea, of course, against which everything is measured. My tools are insufficient, inexact. For instance, there is no way to measure the peak against the distance from the tip of one ring finger to the other, no matter my arm's position, outstretched, limp, akimbo. For instance, there is no way to weigh the earth pushed out of earth against the gravity of my body, its bones, its sacks, its meat and animating light. I submit. I do not constitute the mountain. This in spite of the palette of old quilts and newly fallen maple leaves I've made at its immeasurable base. I submit. I do not constitute the field, although I have harrowed its length, its width with my long feet, my slow step. Never mind, I hear what scurries or scatters, what burrows or bounds. Never mind, I raise my hand to hover the bent grass, the echinacea's bald crown, all of which withers or writhes, all of which is new or nearly the same before my foot's next fall. I submit. As with the mountain, the field. As with the field, you. Ineluctable as a season, sun ragging the rock face. Your arm nearly as long as mine, your palm wider, your mouth a beginning, your eyes, of course, that against which everything else is measured. You harrow, and the summit writhes. Your broad foot falls, and the field akimbo gives up its gravity, lets loose its bodies, its bones, thrums, and animating light. Thank y'all so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that beautiful reading and for introducing us to your work. If I were at home, I would have put your website up, but under the circumstances, I couldn't do that. But I hope that you'll post something so that people can order your books, though we can't sell books in person on Zoom. We can at least do that. So thank you so much for being here and for reading your work. Our next feature, our second feature today, is Ellen Bass. And they always say that people need no introduction. Ellen is one of those people who really doesn't, but I'm going to introduce her anyway. Her collections include Indigo, Like a Beggar, The Human Line, The Mules of Love. Her poems appear frequently in the New Yorker, American Poetry Review, and many other journals. Among her awards are fellowships from the Guggenheim Foundation, the NEA, and the California Arts Council, the Lambda Literary Award, and count them, 4 pushcart prizes. I used to believe that there really were no such people. They were myths. But here she is. She co-edited the first major anthology of women's poetry, No More Masks, and a chancellor emerita of the Academy of American Poets. Bass founded poetry workshops at Salinas Valley State Prison and teaches in the MFA writing program at Pacific University. And her website is www.ellenbass.com. And she's going to teach another series of craft talks, which have been my lifeline to the poetry world. And this time, which I hope that I will make, I've already signed up, will especially be a lifeline. So take it away, Ellen.
Oh, thanks so much, Robbi. And I love being with this community. Verse Virtual is a small community, and it may not be like the best known community in the country or the world, but you are all the most appreciative audiences and the most responsive of really anywhere. I remember the last time reading afterward, so many of you sent me a note. I just love your sense of participation and community is lovely. And special to be here with you, Donika. Thank you so much. I love hearing the Brown Pelican poem, having been there. And I love this idea of love poems to friends. That's really inspiring. And that last poem's gorgeous. I want to read it on the page because every line went by too fast for me. I love hearing it and taking it in your voice, but I really want to read it too. Well, I thought for today I would read some poems. I'm getting together. Oh, I just should say about the Living Room Craft Talks. I know some of you have been taking them in the past. I want to remind you all that if you are interested in taking this next round, that's going to start in September, and if finances are a problem, email me. I'll send your email along. I'm just Ellen at ellenbass.com, so it's easy to remember. I'll send it along to my assistant, and you can be in touch with her. There are scholarships, full or partial scholarships for anybody who needs them. So that shouldn't be an obstacle. And this is going to be my last round. So it's the last chance to do it live. The recordings will always be there. You can always go back and take them. But if you like to do it live, this is going to be it. I thought that I would read some poems um, that are going to be, I'm getting together a new manuscript that hopefully will be out in the fall of 2027, and I thought I'd read some poems from there. So this is called As Long as She Likes. On the way to the cemetery, I slept, not in the limousine that carried my mother's coffin, but out cold in a van, the family all talking around me. I was exhausted from her suffering, her pleas, help me, and enough, enough, and trying to get the morphine to stay in the ditch of her gums. How could I not have studied this in advance? The way my mother learned to give shots in nursing school, plunging the needle into an orange, then practicing on the other girls. God only gives you strength for one day at a time. How many times did I hear her say this? Ask yourself, can I make this day? And then she made her last day. On the way back, the driver got lost. As we circled unfamiliar fields and trees dizzy with blossoms, we began to imagine we could buy some land, horses, a lake. Everything seemed possible and hilarious. We were a little hysterical, driving into the luxury of the future. I've never returned to my mother's grave, but I see her every day. Here she is in short boots, coming back from the beach with a jar of seawater. Each morning she feeds me a spoonful. Minerals. It's something she read in the Pleasantville Press. Here she's wrapping pints and quarts in that same paper, sliding them into brown bags. She's counting out coins into the customers' hands, careful to touch their palms. And here in her bathrobe on a Saturday night, the store just closed. She bites into a hoagie, steak and onions, sips a beer. Tomorrow morning she can sleep late. There's a law in New Jersey that liquor stores have to close on Sunday. A blessed law that lets my mother sleep, and then sit down with a cigarette and black coffee, one strong leg crossed over the other. She can sit there as long as she likes. This next poem is called Laundry, and I have two young grandchildren now, and um, this is about the first one, who has been my muse since she was born. Um, Sometimes people ask about the time that taking care of children takes away from writing, but I find that um, the people in my life are just such sources of poems that they don't take away, they contribute. So she's contributed a lot for a little person. Um, I was counting up the poems in my manuscript, and I think she's in about a quarter of them. So she's been very helpful. Laundry. The babies dragged the sheets to the kitchen, and now she's stuffing them into the washer. One hand lifting a wad of yellow cotton, the other reaching down for more and more. Breathing heavy, she's feeding vast swaths by the armful, bent halfway into the mouth of the machine. A strip of skin exposed where her shirt's ridden up, an edge of diaper sticking out of her pants. Who can watch a child and not feel fear, like static in the background, or a tinnitus you try to ignore? This morning in the Times, I saw the galaxy Leda 2046648, each spiral arm distinct and bright against the dark ink. Light from a billion years ago, just as the first multicellular life emerged on Earth. What are the not quite 2 years of this intent creature in the sweep of time? Her quadriceps and scapula, the alveoli of her lungs, 27 bones of her hand that evolved from the fin of an ancient fish, and her scribbly hair sticking up from her first ponytail. When she was in her mother's body, the California fires turned the air a smoky topaz, and the sun glowed orange on the kitchen wall. Last month, the floodwaters rose and seeped under the door. Still, there must be time for this, to watch her, hands deep into the doing. She's wedded to the things of this world. When she stands, her sleeve slips down, and she pushes it up like any woman at work. One of the things that I've been doing over the past couple of years is going through all my old journals and throwing out everything that I think might be hurtful, too hurtful to someone after I die, or too humiliating for me. And it's been a painful process, but there've also been some treats in it, and some of the treats have been finding notes or drafts of early drafts of poems, or just notes of things that I had not remembered that I wrote. And at the time, and I look at them and I go, oh, why didn't I make a poem out of this? These are some pretty good notes. And I realized that either I didn't have the skill set then or the perspective. And so this is about something that took place about 35 years ago, that I'm remembering, and but only just wrote the poem as a poem this year. And the title is, While My Daughter is in Surgery, I Think About a Night in a Hotel in Florence. She'd bought a black leather jacket from a stall on the Ponte Vecchio. The yellow light of the stones gleamed on the river as she slipped her pale arms into the sleeves, wrapping herself in the animal skin. We lingered over linguine Alfredo and stopped off for a last gelato, walking the long way back, only to find our bags packed and stored behind the hotel desk. With my blundering Italian, it seemed I'd booked our room for only one night. They were terribly sorry, but it was a holiday, a delirium of people crowding the city, and though they called other hotels, there was no room at any inn. When we asked if we could sleep in the lobby, they hesitated, and then they said it wasn't really a room, but there was a bed. And they led us along a labyrinth of hallways, up and down a maze of stairs, a route so elaborate we wondered how we'd ever find our way back. To four walls that rose up within other walls, deep in the heart of the building. A tiny chamber with no windows, no space even to open our bags. But the bed, so strangely ordinary, was made with clean sheets and a thin coverlet, as if it had been waiting there, maybe for centuries, for us to arrive. The darkness was absolute, not a glint of light from outside, no street lamps or headlights, no stars or moon to push time forward, no sound of voices, horns, tires, not a dog barking or a feral cat knocking the lid off the garbage, not a leaf rustling toward autumn or a mosquito whispering, not the suicidal wings of a moth against flame. There was no flame, nor any pebble clattering down the medieval stones, plinking into the tea-colored water. What are the names of the nights when you regret nothing? When the sorrows that came before and the sorrows that would come after part, like a stream parts when it bends around a rock. There's nothing I left behind of that night, not the smell of the leather that enveloped her, not the ochre reflections of the buildings, their narrow balconies rippling in the water, not the darkness that held us becalmed, as though the universe granted us one night of reprieve from its endless cycles of birth and death. We were young, even I was young, and we laughed at our good luck and slept. This poem is called How to Apologize, and I wrote it because my wife and I were in some kind of little disagreement, which I could not remember after I wrote the poem, even what it was that she was annoying me so much about. But I just wanted her, it was some small thing, and I just wanted her to say, I'm sorry, just like a little tiny, I'm sorry. And my wife has given up a lot of her independence over the 43 years that we've been together, but she still now and then holds on to some kind of thread of, I won't do what you want me to do. And this was one of those moments. But I've learned over the years that when she annoys me, there's often a poem there. And so I have a, I guess, a double response to annoyances. One is annoyance, and the other is, ooh, maybe I can do something with this. Thank you for irritating me. So this poem came out of there. How to apologize. Cook a large fish. Choose one with many bones. A skeleton you will need skill to expose. Maybe the flying silver carp that's invading the Great Lakes, tumbling the others into oblivion. If you don't live near a lake, you'll have to travel. Walking is best and shows you mean it. But you could take a train and let yourself be soothed by the rocking on the rails. It's permitted to receive solace for whatever you did or didn't do. Pitiful, beautiful, human. When my mother was in the hospital, my daughter and I had to clear out the home she wouldn't return to. Then she recovered and asked, incredulous, how could you have thrown out all my shoes? So you'll need a boat. You could rent or buy, but for the sake of repairing the world, build your own. Thin strips of western red cedar are perfect, but don't cut a tree. There'll be a demolished barn or downed trunk if you venture further, and someone will have a mill, and someone will loan you tools. The perfume of sawdust and the curls that fall from your plane will sweeten the hours. Each night, we dream 36 billion dreams. In one night, we could dream back everything lost. So grill the pale flesh. Unharness yourself from your weary stories. Then carry the oily, succulent fish to the one you hurt. There is much to fear as a creature caught in time, but this is safe. You need no defense. This is just another way to know you are alive.
Thank you, Ellen. That was so beautiful. What a beautiful reading, a set. Thanks for being here and for giving us your time and your work.
Oh, my pleasure.
It's wonderful to see everyone again. And I hope that I won't be swallowed up again by the nonsense and that I can be here next month. So we're going to segue into the open mic portion of this reading, which is going to begin with my gracious host, Karen Cordova. And I'm going to move a sec from this place and let her take over. And thank you again, Ellen and Donika, for being here and for reading their beautiful work. Oh, something happened here.
Robbi,
When you just go to the corner.
Okay, great.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to read a poem from my book, Farolito. That's what it looks like. It's about my grandmother. Poem's called Heart of Waiatoia, May through June 2005. 1. Southern Colorado Indians believed the first people crawled from the crevice between Waiatoia, breasts of the mother of the earth. Born in her shadowy arms, the hospital beneath the Spanish peaks welcomed me, but my uncle and his entourage arrived. My recorder brought for genealogy interviews, stubbornly far from my reach, dared me not to be sly, so I wasn't. I retrieved it, held it near my uncle's cheek. The recording didn't stop him. He kept screaming for posterity. Among the mob, the notary he had brought to shred my grandma's trust in me, to rescind her power of attorney. Tio yelled, "You tricked her." But I had legal advice to avoid a misstep. Quite a jig when every step is new. I was silent, clicked, the tape recorder on. The notary blinked and out she fled, mumbling, "I'm not doing this." His mob had a chorus. For shame, for shame. Grandma lay listening and dying. The Prairie Hospital kept me from harm. Before I lay me down to sleep, she locked the doors. The night nurse said to stay inside. Another outburst from him will call the police. This was the beginning of weeks by a hospital bed, cracked with slivers of rest, and cradled by a single hand of compassion, which fanned into 2, 4 hands, and soon 16, when I saw a stranger enter and lean and button her heart. "Elvira, how are you?" Grandma could hardly hear, could barely move, but could feel meaning. She smiled, replied, "I love you too." Abuelita couldn't feed herself. She wouldn't drink. I learned to thicken water. I learned patients have their rights. We can't force eating. We respect her no. But she has dementia. No means not this second. She forgets. Watch, he'll drink. I thought respect will kill her. Still, I understood they kept me keeping aid by day, by night, right by her bed. It was hard to think clearly, my writing grim as I woke to a morning of weeds peering into the window, where I sat by that hospital bed. In my chair, watching grandmother gasp for a mouthful of air, I blessed tubes, oxygen tanks, needles in her arms. I thanked tablespoons of chocolate shakes she didn't refuse. She barely drank. We were near the Culebra, hills named for a snake. With a viperous uncle and lacking for sleep, this ridiculous ditty is all I could make. Snakes stood up and grew 2 feet. Some became a human being with character, while some were incomplete and never grew a spine, just slithered away money and time. 2. Yeah. I needed refreshment, so I drove to the mountainous Ama de Leche, heard the roar of a river calling all our young home, saw milk dripping down white-breasted slopes. My eyes drank, contented, I returned. 2 nurses approached, were convinced. We saw a sign while you were gone. They didn't know my morning thoughts of snakes. I asked, will you repeat that on my tape? Their story, Grandma pointed out the courtyard window toward the shadows and your humped-backed man. They saw nothing but the man, but she kept pointing, Mira. So they walked the finger of her crooked finger's point to the red racer on the sill, its body looped in an infinity sign until the nurses approached, and then the caduceus stood up before them. I think coincidence is well coincidence, and hope has no reason, but hope works better if you move your feet. Grandma always taught me to see the unexpected, and what is unexpected is to see what is there before your eyes. She continued while dying to teach the young. The day the nurses saw the healing snake, Abuela cried out, save me. Am I dying? I don't know. If you are, I'll be here with you. If you aren't, you fight. Dylan Thomas had it right. I'll be damned before I'd let somebody write her off, push her gentle into night. I believe the doctor, nurse, and priest were there for consolation. Are you prepared that she may die? When? She's at the edge, could be any time. Abuela received last rites. I kept repeating, drink another teaspoon, Grandma, drink, while saying yes to them. The doctor later confided, I have never seen a person in her condition live. It was a miracle, a term of speech. Life is a circle hand in hand. Around we go with everyone we know. This poem's for you. Please don't let go. Thank you for listening. I know it was long.
Thank you so much, Karen. Hedy, you're up next. Hedy, are you there?
Yes, I was trying to find the
Okay.
to unmute. Thank you very much, Donika and Alan, and it has been very moving and inspiring. I will be reading a poem from The Taste of the Earth, and it is called Hall of Mirrors. First, there's the mirror of memory. You only need to refuel it with lies and illusions, project it onto a screen, winding up sequences of animated scenes at will. In the dormant well of memory, you seek yourself and lose yourself. Sit for hours on the polished lip of the well as you meditate over your lengthening shadow. Perform a makeover of your mind to erase the ravages of time. A touch of blush over cheekbones blurs gravity lines, tilts features upwards, and if this fails, a few hours of sleep should put a glimmer in the eyes, redress drooping eyelids, avoid the unsightly X-rays of your mortality. Then comes the mirror of forgetfulness, swallowing bit by bit your selective memory, stretching time and space, a fluid mirror clouded with ripples, rippling memories. The elusive mirror in which you drown night after night, searching for answers to the same questions. You wish to turn nightmares into paradise. Sleep paralysis overcomes you as past and future merge on their own terms, choose their own colors, glide in swift motion, deafening rhythmic steps resound in premonition. emerge erratically from the recesses of your mind. Inaudible tunes fall, scatter like the last leaves of autumn. Thank you.
Hedy, that was beautiful, and I hope you'll post something about your webpage or the latest book.
Thank you.
Yes. Our next reader is Marc Petrie, and we owe him a happy birthday, and glad to see you recovering from your operation.
Thank you. Thank you very kindly. Donita, I got to tell you, your poem reminded me of phalanxes of brown pelicans flying over my favorite place in the world, Moss Landing, where you can look at one side and see the ocean with the pelicans, and then you look at the other side and you see the opening to the Elkhorn Slough with 20 or 30 otters floating on their backs. This poem is called Two Siblings. The infinite cerulean dome hovered over a green meadow. Deciduous trees dotted river banks where water flowed as if forever exists in the passage of time, as if an eternal artist applied a turquoise palette to the landscape. A brother and sister sit at a table, eat their sandwiches, listen to the stream. The river so flat, it did not appear to be moving from a distance. They sat comfortably, taking in the blue sky and munching on sandwiches. Cars rushed off for Old Faithful, like this volcanic dome was Disneyland. They had faith in this moment and place. He gave no measure to the gasoline-driven swift current. They walked near the shore, watching mallards bounce like teal buoys downstream, disappearing with the flow. He saw the two of them moving backwards until they were back in Michigan in the 60s, watching a watermelon cool besides the artificial stream. At the picnic table, they were preteens then, enjoying a peace with only limited parental interference. It had taken a long time to reach this place of peace again. He fought the useful urge to drop a large rock into the water, to break the stillness and to sound the depth. The one memory he chose not to awaken, the violence they had known.
Thank you, Marc. Our next reader is Gary.
Let me bring myself on. And I have an unusual poem. When I was living in Houston at one of the cathedrals downtown, in their big community hall, they would serve lunch. And they would regularly host exhibitions of various artists. And there was this one artist called Peg Reynolds who made masks off of her own face, but various different types of masks. And that got me thinking about all those masks, and thus this poem, Unmasking. You begin once again, cover your face with plaster, wait while it sets, wait for the words the mask must speak, but no one yet hears. Wait for the feelings the mask must bear, but no one yet sees. Wait inside the dark, safe and unknown, until you peel the plaster, until you fill the hollow with hints and echoes, suggestions of self, mask after mask after mask, until one day a mask hinges open, reveals another mask, itself unlocked, ajar, but only shadows behind it, a face without features. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Good to see you.
Nice to be safe.
David, you're next. David, are you there?
Yeah, yes, it took me a second to unmute myself. My poem is called The Wild Cherry Tree. It stood alone, growing on the canal bank, running the south border of grandfather's farm. Neither Vaughan nor his neighbors could say how or why it grew there, like none other around. Many days I walked cow paths across that field from the milk barn to the yellow cherry tree, following the tree's progress from spring blossoms to their golden fruition at summer's end, sweetened by the warm sun and my impatience. That was many years ago, and I was a child. Schedules careless, every day echoed the last. Progress replaced the farm with housing projects, the canal filled in, the cherry tree cut down, its sugars moved into legend and romance, more succulent and sweeter in the telling. The world is a landscape seen with blurry eyes, which explains why so many things seem unclear. Without doubt, there's beauty to find everywhere, but hard hanging on to for long aches of time. Views narrow, years narrow, everyone gets tired. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Boy, that's true. Everyone does. Our next reader is Tova.
Hello,
You still-
everyone. Yes, can you hear me? Okay. I want to thank Ellen Bass for her newsletter. That's how I found you. It's my first time at Verse Virtual. My poem is called Fear of Falling. I hear the scraping of the metal chains of the swing and my grandmother's voice. Don't go too high. You'll fall, she warns. I ignore her, wanting to swing into the sky, feel the breeze on my knees, leave the crowded confines of Parkchester, where we weren't allowed to walk on the grass. I wasn't afraid of falling then. In my teens, I hungered for adventure, wanted to travel to Japan, see the gardens, hear the koto and shakuhachi, read basho, and learn how a poem is born. Now, as an elder, I don't want fear of falling to keep me from traveling. Our planet Earth is getting hotter, and I'm growing older. Two indisputable facts. Why does a caterpillar cross the road? To find a tree, form a chrysalis, emerge with wings. Take a leap, Tova, and fly.
Thank you, Tova, and welcome. We hope you return again.
Thank you.
The next reader is Mary.
Hi. This is called First Communion. Even that young, we were already fallen angels. Those new patent shoes, a celebration of white, soul scraped raw, me and cousin Ray in all our holy finery, running down the rough cobbled alleyway, away from all the aunts and uncles waiting to cut that big communion cake I hoped would taste better than the dry wafer of Jesus on my tongue. Even then suspecting all their stories might be false, and light as the fabric of that communion dress, ending in a fluff of ruffles just above my raw scraped knees, that skirt and veil an airy cloud of lace. So, no match for the story I'd sworn not to tell, still there in my mouth, beneath the holy wafer I couldn't swallow. Little sister, I know you dreamed that dress your own, and it would have fit you well, without my pleats and pockets, and nothing left to tell. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. One thing I've missed being incommunicado for a while is everybody's latest poem, and I'm glad to catch up just a little. Thanks a lot. Our next reader is Namrita.
Hi, everyone. Very nice to be here. Thank you to Donika and Ellen for this lovely program. The poem that I'm going to be reading was published in the Suffolk County Poetry Review, as I'm here in Long Island, New York. The title of the poem is Only a Fragrance Remains. In the cobblestone alley, the stones turned their faces away from me. The red brick house sheds red powder as it breathes its last breath. Inside the house, mother's shawl sits neatly folded on her bed. Dad's swivel chair searches for an email on the computer. Outside, the watchman gathers twigs and lights a fire. The shivering fog suspends temporarily. The gray cataract rings in his eyes seem recent. Memories flit about like fireflies, unhinged. He reaches and feels my face with his barbed fingers, whispers a blessing to the child he helped raise. The silver mist rolls on the ground. I see two shadows. I'm as tall as their chest. I feel a cool compress on my fever-scorched forehead. They help me with a school project. Is it oxygen or carbon dioxide the plants let out when they breathe? From the clay stove in the courtyard, golden tongues leap out to lick the mist. I dance to the rhythm of mother chopping My vegetables, my anklets jingle a happy tune. There are jagged pieces of broken heart in the backyard. The old ghosts stir in my chest. I pray for the rain that turns the yellowed leaves green. The watchman sings. I tap the checkered blanket on his shoulder. The gesture does not register. I'm breathing, but I'm nothing. Believe me.
Great last line. Thank you so much, and we hope you'll return to Verse Virtual. Ann Horner is next. Go ahead, Ann.
I was just asking about reading. I can read something. Is there time?
Yes, something relatively short, please.
It's short. Is there somebody else after me?
Oh, yes.
Find this on my phone. Yeah, okay.
There are several people after you.
Let somebody else go and let me find the poem, if you would, please.
Okay. Lynne, would you like to go?
Sure. Thank you. I'd like to thank Robbi and Jim and Ellen and Donika. Donika, what you were saying about writing love letters to your friends is something that I've been doing. This one is for my friend Vicky Wicker, who is a wonderful poet and photographer. And for the last 20 years, she has been both writing about and almost weekly photographing her neighbor's abandoned barn. And about 3 weeks ago, a tornado hit, and the barn is no more. So this is called Prayer for a Barn. Blessed be the corrugated tin that rang in every rain, that turned the storm into a drum, the whole roof one long note, held for as long as it could hold. Blessed be the gambrel curve, the silos standing either side like old friends who stayed after everyone else left. Blessed be the zinnias planted anyway, the wicker chair set out, as if someone intended to sit in the presence of this falling and call it beautiful. Someone did. Vicky did. Blessed be the wind that finally came. It was only doing what wind does. The barn already knew. Thank you.
That was wonderful, and it's good to see you. Our next reader is Frank.
Thank you. Anytime after that.
This is my first time with this group, thanks to Ellen Bass's newsletter, and I very much appreciate everybody who's organized this. Thank you. The poem I'm going to be reading is from a book, the Brother and Sister Act, which I did with my sister. They're companion poems. And this one is called Never Leave Without a Blessing. Never leave without a blessing. And if your grandmother is gone and your father is missing, beg the God of your understanding. Hang an icon of an angel on the inside of your front door. Place it just above eye level. And as you leave, beseech a blessing. Never go without a blessing. Behind, around, ahead of you, to ward off negative thinking, to open the welcoming door. Not just a prayer of protection, but a way to worry with hope, to suffer without depression, to take strides and keep your balance. Receive your blessing and listen. Below the alarms and sirens, you'll hear a reverberation, your whispered name, born by love. Once blessed, you can face the beast, best it, and not be disfigured. No matter what, at the very least, you will know that you're loved. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. We hope you'll return again to Verse Virtual. It's lovely to have you. And there's actually one more person and then me.
Okay.
So if you want to go now, Anne.
Sure. First,
Go
just
ahead.
thank you everybody for being here. I really appreciate everything. I'm a beginner. I've published nothing. I came at Ellen Bass's invitation as well. This poem is called Alana. Fear took up residence in his veins long ago. From where it came, no one seemed to know. He cherished and fed this fear inside, and soon his family had no place to hide. His arteries are closing in, his breathing's arduous and tight. Yet through the snow they struggle from the car this Christmas night. They've come to visit family, the son who's never right. The man's a ticking time bomb. The fear is often a disguise, but panic is the common response of those who look into his eyes. His wife is tired, resigned, and numb, yet she still stands by his side. She's blind to her own power and seems to have no guide, her inner compass broken. It's been 40 years since she has cried. Merry Christmas, one and all. Come in, I'll take your coat. Put down the wine, let's pour some drinks. Of course, the kids are not about. The old man heard the story his son had conveyed last week. After all these years, he found that his grandson was more than a geek. Alan kept silent for so many years. She struggled with love and had so many fears. She questioned herself. She tried to be true. If they could be them, shouldn't I be me too? Don't I deserve to be who I am? Why should I be less than Mom, Dad, or Dan? I should be comfortable in my own skin, but all of my life they have called me a him. Why me was a question she'd asked time upon time, and not trusting herself was like committing a crime. She didn't need another reason to think herself bad, and though she tried like hell, she was still deeply sad. Not the kind of sad that quickly goes leavin', but super depressed like her life has no reason. Fear knows how to hide and can be a chameleon, but when threatened explodes and comes out a reelin'. The old man was furious when she finally arose. Alana was wearing a dress and black hose. The verbal attack she had not bargained for left her running upstairs after slamming the door. Now Grandpa was righteous in railing his son, unaware altogether that he might be the one who chose not to be loving on his last Christmas night. He was happy to leave after starting a fight. Dear grandpas and grandmas and sisters and brothers, friends, aunts and uncles and fathers and mothers, please open your hearts. Please let people be. Try not to judge others because they're not like you or me. Use your senses, your silence, and try to feel. Get yourself in touch with what might be real. Would you dare take a walk in another's shoes, and save a precious life by not spreading the blues? Be willing to show love and compassion to all, standing up for others because you said that's your call? How else will precious seeds planted come to flower bright? And if we do not tend them, how will we sleep at night? Dear Alana, this is your place. I'm so glad you're here. You have powered with courage through so much fear. Don't give up. You're meant to be you. The world's a better place because you're in it too.
Thank you. The last of our open readers is Catherine G.
Hello, everyone. I just discovered you today, again, like some of the others here from Ellen's newsletter.
Can't hear you at all.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm unmuted. Can you hear
Turn
me?
up your volume just a little bit.
It's up as far as it'll go.
No, we can't hear you. I'm sorry. Try next month. Come early. Okay. I'm going to read, I'm sorry, and but you'll catch up next time. I'm going to read one last poem before we go. It's called My Mother Refused to Cook with Garlic. And again, I'm Robbi Nester, despite the name on the square. My mother refused to cook with garlic, preferred her food sedate, polite. She made the same meals every week with takeout on the weekends. Monday, pot roast and mashed potatoes. Tuesday, salmon cakes and corn. Wednesday, roast chicken and potatoes. Thursday, spaghetti. Friday, fish and chips. She seldom tried new dishes, lest some foreign taste slip in, some suspect new ingredient. When the scent of neighbors' dinner penetrated our thin walls, reminding everyone of where we came from, the past we tried to hide, she wrinkled up her nose. That smell exposed deep roots of Russian shtetls, raw onion sandwiches on thick black bread, like the ones my paternal grandmother used to snack on. Far enough away in time, I taste only with my tongue and not my memory. It's complicated taste that I prefer. Garlic's sweet aroma when I roast the bulb, squeeze it over crusty bread just baked, inhale the scent of asafoetida, cumin, fenugreek, and dream of other places. Thank you so much to our features, Ellen Bass and Donika Kelly, and my co-host, Jim Lewis, and my host, Karen Cordova, and all of you who read at the open mic or listened in your squares of Zoom. And I hope you'll return again to our next reading at Verse Virtual. Thanks so much.